passing the mic.
Okay, so when I talk about animation, let me talk about the director. Okay, Makoto Shinkai. So if you see Makoto Shinkai like old films, like 6 centimeters per second, like films and like children who chase lost voices, like you see his style developing throughout. He started with like this style that imitates realism, and he's going more and more towards realism. And there are you can read online, after they animated the final shot, he went back, looked at each shot, and tried to improve the lighting and add lighting and give it back, because lighting and backgrounds and environments are so
Ah,
important to him. Like he
that is a lot of work.
yeah. And you can and you can see the amount of work put in. Apparently the film was made of 1.6K cuts.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a lot of shots, including all
Yeah.
those highly detailed insert shots. So like it's confusing. Like how did they make a film like so fast? Even though the film had a really big budget, the thing is like 2D animation is very expensive and time taking, right? And to it,
Yeah, I mean, your money can't buy you a shorter time
exactly,
frame.
and like to do it in
Yeah.
to make such a highly detailed movie in such a style takes a lot of time. So apparently Shinkai he mixed a lot of 2D animation with CGI in a lot of shots to make
Oh,
it look
okay.
realistic. If you all remember the shot with like the drops,
Meteor
drops
falling.
falling or something like that, like
Huh.
the shot with like the red string, the high like the HD shots,
Yeah.
most of them are a mix of 2D and
Yeah.
CG.
Oh, wow.
And even like they used a lot of
Yeah.
roto in the film. They used a lot of roto.
Makes sense.
Yeah, like even like normal animation scenes of like the characters running, of course the live locations. Like you remember the shrine, the dance shrine made it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I actually wanted to say that many of those
exactly.
scenes where
They
they
used a lot of
were very active, it
roto
looked
for
like as if
all the.
a
That's
real
why it
person
looks
was
so
running
amazing and it
and
imitates
they were
realism
being
so
chased
well
out.
because it's referenced from there. They actually hire like a choreographer to dance and they
Hmm.
shot her. So earlier when you said shooting, you were actually right. They
Ah,
did shoot
I
her.
was right. I mean, of
Yeah.
course I was right. I knew this all along.
Of course. And I think like it makes sense to like use 2D where you need to use 2D where it really shines and use like other digital techniques, which I don't think hindered the film in any way, just added onto it and made it beautiful.
I mean, but it can hinder the film if you don't
So
have a good idea of what you're doing. You need to really know
yeah,
what you're doing to make it match properly.
and Shinkai he loves like I think he's similar in this way, but I wouldn't compare him with Miyazaki. Is great, but he works on he tries to finish his storyboards first. Okay, he draws his storyboards and then he himself like he records the dialogues and makes like a film with only like an animatic we call it. He makes an animatic and that's the first thing he does with dialogues and music ready.
Oh, okay.
If you compare scenes from the animatic and the film, it looks like pretty much the same thing, even though you can see the
Hmm.
rough poses.
Okay,
And him going what?
when we talk a little more about Shinkai and what he's done, because you have watched his previous movies as well, so you can give a little more context to those who are watching who may have seen Kimi no Nawa but not any of the other
Yeah,
movies.
so I think
So,
Shinkai. I think if you see his old films, like I said, 5 centimeters per second. I think I think that's his earliest film if you talk about it, and even Children Who Chase Toys was after that. He's going towards. I think he goes for similar like romantic stories. Because if you see 5 centimeters, it's also like a romantic story. I'm not going to tell you why it's called 5 centimeters per second. That's an amazing reason. I tell
I don't even want to know because apparently he puts twists at the end for everything, so it'll be a spoiler.
it blow your mind. It won't blow your mind, but I don't know. Once you figure out why it's called that, you'll be like, holy shit, that's crazy. That's pretty cool. It's a beautiful film, but I think if you watch it, you'll see where he's coming from. And if you watch Kimi no Nawa, I think he's reached the peak of his style.
You'd say Kimi no Nawa is the peak, like you don't think he can get better from this point onwards? Yeah.
I think he's mastered his style, yeah. I think because if you watch Tenki no Ko, we'll talk about that in a future episode. You'll see how how he uses that style, to like write better stories or talk about more interesting things that he wants to. But he himself said, I think Kimi no Nawa is his best film,
Oh, okay.
and he worked a lot for a lot of years.
Was that before or after Weathering with You? Is the question.
I think it was of course before Weathering with You.
Yeah, because maybe he's more proud of Weathering with You, and he.
Yeah, I we'll talk about
Yeah.
Weathering with You later, but I think Kimi no Nawa is better than Weathering with You. But if we talk about like the film that came out before that, like Garden of Words, you must have heard about it. It's a beautiful, amazing looking film. Like the visuals are crazy. It almost looks realistic. It looks so realistic. It gets weird at sometimes. Like, how is it so real? Is it actually animated? And I think Garden of Words is very tested a lot of these techniques that he's used in Kimi no Nawa with the CG and the rotoscoping. Even though the story is a little weird, I would say if you watch the film. But
Another plot twist, he's going to make you cry.
I would say if you wanna,
No spoilers, just warning you guys before you watch
you,
it. It's what
it's
he's
gonna make
famous
you
for.
be like, oh, what am I watching? I think you'll say, what am I watching since the beginning, but still. And I would also say, like, if you're watching old Shinkai films, start with 5 centimeters per second. And oh, he has a shot like that's based on cats and cats gathering. I like that. That's a really funny film. It shows what Shinkai does when he's like just trying to have fun. He made it for this festival. I think for this festival called Anikuri, where a lot of animators, including people like Satoshi Kon, made like short films. So I think one of those he sent his, and it was featured. It was really fun. So him as a director, I think he aims more for visuals than animation. I wouldn't say it's like the best animation I've seen, even though it's good. The animation is really good, but I wouldn't say it's the best. Like,
Sid
I don't
has
think,
spoken. The animation is good.
yeah,
Not great, not amazing, it's just good.
because I'm comparing him to like Mamoru Hosoda, Masaki Uasa, like Satoshi Kon, and like Miyazaki and people like that. I'm comparing him to other Japanese anime directors. And I think when it comes to animation, they offer a lot more than he does. I think his visual style is different, and I think the stories he tries to tell are different. But if you talk about animation, personally, it's good, but I wouldn't say it's the best I've ever seen. Yeah,